All right. Very good morning, everyone. How is everybody doing so far? Oh, lovely. All right. Just curious, for how many of y'all is this your very first ClioCon? Just quick check. Wow, I love that. I love that. Okay, so if you're here to learn more about tasks in Clio Manage, you guys are in the right space. And today, over the next 30 minutes, we're just going to go over some simple but very powerful tips on how you can actually leverage task lists a lot better in Clio Manage. Quick note again, this is going to be more of a I would say walkthrough versus a live working session, but feel free to keep your laptops open. We will go through task lists, how to sort of create one, some of the fundamentals, so it might be helpful. All right. So a little bit about myself. My name is Nisha Kritivasan. I've lived in over 10 cities across 4 different countries. I've been with Clio, this May would be about 4 years now. And I'm a product marketing manager here at Clio. A bit of what I do is I'm the conduit between what product builds and what feedback you all give. So a big part of my work is speaking to customers like yourself, trying to understand the feedback and how we can actually make the product and features better in Clio Manage. And outside of work, I'm quite a fitness enthusiast. I love a good cup of coffee. I love watching a really good play. So if any of you have any recommendations here in Boston, I will be at the customer corner at the Level Up, which is on the 2nd floor. Please make sure to come and find me. I'd love to meet you and talk a bit more about tasks, share coffee swaps and plays and all that stuff. All right. Okay. Before we dive in, I would love to say a big thank you to all of our sponsors for making this fantastic event possible for all of us here. Okay, so quick show of hands. How many of you are using tasks, actively use tasks in Clio Manage? Okay, I love seeing a good show of hands. Okay, so even if you are actively using tasks right now, I'm really hoping that this session would give you all some good aha moments to say, oh, you know what? I should have done that. I could have done that. I need to do that. And for some of you who this is very new, I'm sure this is going to be quite insightful. Okay. So to make this a little more easier, I would like to introduce you all to someone named Samantha. Okay. So Samantha is a practicing attorney right here in Boston at a law firm. And her day-to-day is about not just having to juggle the work that she needs to do, but also making sure how does her entire team get their work a lot more efficiently, right? So it's not just about making sure that she has a checklist to do, but how does the team know exactly what to do, even when she is not at the office on a given day, maybe she's in court. So, but sometimes, despite having tasks and things in order, there are times where you probably would have walked into a room or into a meeting and told yourself, there was something I came here for. I don't remember what it is. How many of you all have had that moment? Yeah, including myself. Okay. And this is exactly why having a system like not just tasks, but task lists in something like Clio Manage is going to not just help you. And the way I like putting it is, it's not about having a checklist, but it's about not having that mental stress of saying, you know what, did Jen get this done today? Or did Sheila get that done? Or did Matt get this done today? Like just not having to have that worry is why we would recommend tasks and task lists in Clio Manage is helpful for that. So here's what the agenda is going to look like today. We're going to go over some of the fundamentals, talk about planning tasks and task lists before you dive right into creating one in Clio Manage. Second is we're going to go over quickly how do you set up task lists? What are some of the key things we would recommend that you fill out, not miss out? And third, there was a lot that was spoken about AI. I know a lot. Jack dropped a lot on all of you. So we're just going to briefly touch upon, okay, how can you harness the power of AI in Clio Manage when it comes to tasks and just everything in Clio Manage in general. And then finally going to wrap up with some key takeaways. We're all good so far? Can I get a thumbs up? so that I love it. Okay. All right. So before we dive into okay, I need to know how to create a task list. Just wanted to pause for a few minutes, 2-3 minutes, not more, to just reiterate why is it important having task lists in Clio Manage. First, obviously, centralization of tasks, right? Especially if you are not a solo practitioner, but let's just say you're at a law firm that has 3-4 more people, making sure that you have your tasks that live alongside your matters in Clio Manage, that pulls data from Clio Manage, is one of the key reasons tasks are very helpful. All right. The second is visibility. When you think about task lists, it is something that's going to give you not just the visibility of what you need to do, but what is everybody else getting to do, right? When is it due? What the priority levels are. So that is a good way. And even when you think down the line with reporting, let's just say you wanted to come in, it will help you understand maybe someone like Mel, what's her workload like today? Is there something I can move out? So that's another reason why tasks are very helpful. And third, obviously, last but not the least, tracking deadlines, right? Just making sure that you are keeping track of things are not slipping through the cracks, especially given a lot of what you do lives and breathes around deadlines. Okay, so this is something I am sure not many of you have seen, and there is a leaflet that's on all of your desk. Now, let's just take the example of our wonderful friend Samantha that we met briefly, right? So Samantha's practice is going great, but there's a lot of cases that is coming in. And she's always finding that she has task lists set up. I'm just curious though, how many of you have task lists set up? Okay, all right. So she has task lists set up. And when I mean task lists and then subtasks within the list. And so she has task lists set up, but then very often there's a task that needs to be added in here. There's a task that needs to be added in there. You might have had a client meeting. You realize, oh my God, I should have added this task. So she wanted to take stock with all of the caseload and all the new cases that's coming in to say, hey, let me just take a checklist of what are all the task lists that we have set up in Clio Manage at the moment? And within that, what are the things that we need to look at? So when you look at this worksheet, this is like a simple example, right? Where what she's done is she's taken stock, put all of her task lists right from the task list name, giving it a clear, rough description, what the purpose is, priority level, what are the notes and dependencies. And then what she ends up doing is she sits and probably discusses it with some of the team members to say, hey, when we think of start to finish, like these are probably the things that we should be going from a case lifecycle. And then within this, as an example, she kind of further breaks it down into, let's just say, an example is within the pre-trial task list as an example. The first task name is going to be confirmed trial date and deadlines. That's probably going to be the task description. Who do we think we can assign this task to, either on a regular basis or as and when things are coming in? Does this person need reminders? What are the due dates going to look like? Are there anything else that need to be added to this? So before you even go in and start creating tasks and task lists, this planning, yes, it does take a bit of time, but actually getting this done will really help you understand, okay, what are the things I need to do? What are the things everybody else at the firm needs to do? And so this worksheet, hope that it is going to be helpful for some of you. So when you go back, you can actually sit and take stock, make note, and then go back in and add it into Clio Manage. So this is something that our wonderful friend Samantha ended up doing when she wanted to take stock of her tasks and task list. So the next section, so first thing is planning. So before you even go into adding stuff in Clio Manage, we always recommend to put things down on a piece of paper for a bit or on an Excel spreadsheet or something like that as a worksheet, and then start putting things into Clio Manage and assigning matters and all of that stuff. Okay, so the next section is going to be, we've got everything buttoned down. how do we now then key that into Clio Manage? So as you can see, this is how your tasks, the tab looks like. So I know quite a few of you actually did not go through creating a task list, so we're just going to briefly look at how you can do that. So when you look at where you can access task list, you go into the task tab, and then from here at the top right hand corner, you click task list. All right. Then once you go in here, this is then going to bring, as you can see, I've got some examples here. The very first thing you're going to do is you're going to click new task list. That's again at the top right hand corner. And then from there, what Samantha basically does is based on the worksheet that she's gone ahead, she first gives this a very clear name. This is going to be the name of the task list. For example, new client intake. And the description can be as simple as tasks to onboard new client into Clio. So this, again, you have the option to either make it visible only to select people. So that's the permission setting that you can have, or if you want to make sure that everybody at the firm can see it. So that will be the very first thing that she does in order to create a task list. Now, from here, this is a part that we find quite a few folks tend to miss, is assigning a practice area. Now, how many of you all have practice areas added in Clio Manage? Excellent. Okay. And for some of you who haven't, you should be able to access this under settings. And within settings, you will have a section called firm preferences. And then from there, you can go in to add your practice area. And I know some folks also like adding it as case type. So for example, talking to a firm, it was more family, divorce, and then you go family, custody. So they kind of break that down that way as well. So matter templates, right? You can automatically pre-assign some of the task lists. So when you create a matter, tasks and the lists automatically get assigned. And the other thing is reporting, right? For some of you who are on the advanced plan, when you think about, there are 2 reports where you can pull up productivity by user. And so that is where even understanding the practice areas, especially if you have multiple case types, multiple practice areas as a firm, those are the areas where it'll help you to understand overall productivity, how many cases are being assigned to X, Y, and Z. What is then that kind of ties into utilization rate, your collection rate, all of that stuff. So that is why we always kind of emphasize adding a practice area always helps. Okay, so that is creating the shell, the framework of just creating a task list. Now the fun stuff is within a task list, in Clio Manage, we call it a task template, okay? So what Samantha does is once she's, let's say, created this new onboarding client intake task list, within this to start adding in subtasks, you go ahead and click task template. So you can either click it over there or right up here at the center. And then what she basically does is she goes ahead and gives it a very clear name. Again, easy to identify, something that's easy to understand. Priority, you can choose whether it is medium, high, normal. So you can again indicate how quick and important it is. The next one is description. So something that we rolled out, I would say probably 3 months ago, is rich text formatting. So when you are creating tasks and task description, you can actually italicize it, make it bold, you can link documents to it. And so this is something that you can do right up front within here. So we always encourage people to give as much detail as you can to just make life easy for everybody else who's doing the task, or even for yourself, if you're just doing it for yourself. Then you have the option of visibility. Now, task type and time estimate. Now, these are 2 filters that's available for those, again, who have the advanced or the complete plan. How many of you know, and this is a question when I'm in webinars, everyone's like, where can I access my plan? Does anybody know where to figure out where your plan is or what plan you're on? Pricing tier you're on? If not, go to the settings and that's where you can find out. So for those of you who are on the advanced and complete plans, you should have access to the task type as well as the time estimate. So again, always recommend you can create some of these task types for your firm. And and there are certain ones that come pre-populated already. So select the task type. You can also add a time estimate if you already know roughly what the time estimate is going to be. And then from there, this is where things start to get interesting. So you've added a description, you've added some of the key details, dependencies, priority level, the type. Now, there are two kinds of ways you can go about assigning tasks in Clio Manage. The first one is list assignee. Use list assignee as it says is, and I'll probably give a little bit more detail, is let's just say you are, you don't know at that point who's going to do the work, right? You want to create your task list and you've created your tasks, but let's just say it varies depending on the matter, the case type. And you don't know who is going to be doing it at that point in time. But when you actually assign the task list, at that moment, you want to choose somebody, this would be your option, okay? The next one is when you say select assignee, very clear, as he mentioned, you already know who the person's going to do it. And in this case, it's Samantha Jones. You have the people within your firm. If it's Melissa, you go ahead and assign it and boom, you're done. So next time, every single time, let's just say you created this task within the task list. All you have to do is just assign the task list and you don't have to keep going back to it every single time. So in that sense, it kind of takes care of that. Okay, the next one is due date. So again, same, there are two ways you can set your dates when you're assigning a task list. The first one is trigger date. Now, as the name suggests, the moment you assign the task list, let's just say I might have created this task and task list today, but I want to assign it a month later, for a recurring matter. At that point, that's the date it would pick up, that very day when it gets assigned the trigger date. The next one is basically the relative due date. So when you think about the relative due date, as again, the name would suggest, let's say you have 10 tasks within a task list. The relative due date is when the previous task, or rather the following task is dependent on the completion of the previous task. So let's just say I wanted to have the new client intake, but it should start one day after the task list has been assigned. So automatically, it kind of does the calculation on its own whenever you assign the task list. Does that make sense? I'll be here available at the end. So if any of you have questions, I'd be more than happy to help answer and walk you guys through it. So trigger date is the easiest way to remember is the time or the date you assign the task and the task list, it picks up that date. Okay? Whereas a relative is, let's just say you have 10 tasks. Maybe the very first task, let's say I assign it today. The first task, it would take it as today. But the second task, if I've set it to start 2 days after this task is completed, it kind of follows the dates, relative dates. Does that make sense? Perfect. All right. Okay. Last but not least is reminders. We always encourage people to use reminders. And this is, again, something we find a lot of people. Some folks do, some folks don't. But there are two ways you can set up reminders. And this is just another one less thing for you to worry about, because you can choose to either set it as a pop-up, say for Samantha or for your paralegal, whoever it is. Automatically, as soon as the task list and the tasks get assigned, you can either select it for them to be getting the reminder as a pop-up. You can choose by date or by minutes. And you also have the option, as you saw there before, the option to give it by email. So again, the follow-ups, sending it, you don't have to worry about that at all. Task list automatically takes care of that for you. Okay, so here's a simple example of the different kinds of tasks that Samantha has gone ahead and set up within the new client intake. So as you can see, she's given the name for the task. Some have trigger dates, some have due dates. There's a list of assignees. There are certain tasks that you already very well know who is going to be doing it. There are permissions. You can have some which are restricted, most of them which are public. So in that way, the beauty about tasks within a task list is it's very flexible and it's not very rigid in that sense. So that will be one of the key benefits of using a task list for those of you who are not using task lists at the moment. All right. So this is an example of how once you've assigned task lists to somebody or within a matter, you can see this is how it's going to pop up within the sub-tab, the task sub-tab within, let's say, the Watson matter. So you've got the assigned by, which means this was assigned by Samantha. To whom was it assigned to? If there is a time, you can clock in time right there and then. And then you can choose to also mark it complete as soon as it's done. Now, once it's marked complete, if you've set it by relative due date, the next task automatically kind of happens within that. Okay. All right. So we've looked at basically creating a task list. Within that, looking at some key elements of how to add tasks. Now let's look at how does this really help Samantha in her day-to-day once she's set this up. First is when you log in, this is your personal dashboard, right? And so if you notice, as soon as Samantha logs into her personal dashboard, given tasks and task lists have already been assigned, automatically this pulls up everything that she needs to do for that day. If you've assigned stuff to your paralegal, given the dashboard is very personalized to every user at the firm, whatever tasks are due for them, it's automatically going to pop up for them on their personal dashboard. So it saves you the hassle of reminding them. It saves you the hassle of, hey, did XYZ get this done today? So that's one way it really helps you. The second way it really helps, especially for someone like Samantha, if you have a firm that has more than one or two users, this is where you can use filters within tasks, where you can choose if you want to assess workload, you want to assess reporting. You can actually go ahead and choose by who tasks were assigned. If you want to get a good understanding of, okay, within these matters for the next week, what are the tasks that are due? Who's getting it done? Do we need to shift, move things around? This is where filters really help. And so you can go and filter it assigned by, who are tasks being assigned to within that matter. What is the status, right? How many are still pending? How many are completed? Who's the responsible attorney? Priority level. So you can go ahead and select to get a good understanding of overall what's the tasks looking like within that matter or even within your firm. Okay, so we looked at overall, why is it important to use tasks and task lists in Clio Manage? We went over creating a task list. And the next is the power of AI within Clio Manage. So a lot of you, how many of you, I'm curious, have Duo or had Duo? Perfect. So congratulations, you guys have Manage AI today. So this is what Manage AI is going to look like. And when you look at, even for some of you who might attend the Legal Trends report, 79% of users today are using some form of AI or the other to get tasks done. Now, when you think about how things are being done in Clio Manage, when you think about Manage AI overall, it is going to help you quickly. You upload a document, a core document, it'll automatically pull up dates within that PDF. Your calendar events are already created. All you need to do is review, and that's it. So imagine the hours that you were going about scanning through all the core documents, adding calendar dates one day at a time. Just upload a core document. The AI is just going to scan the document, draft the calendar events for you, and all you have to do is just review it and say create calendar events, and that's it. It's done. Okay. The next one that it could be able to do, automate the bill generation. So you have the option of actually just having certain settings. Let's say you want to have bills generated for the first of every month. 3 days before, AI is automatically going to send people who are working on that matter an email to say, you have XYZ matters. Don't forget to add time and expense entries. So you don't have to follow up, making sure everybody's done that. The next is, let's say come first of every month, AI will automatically send emails to people who need to approve those bills. So you, again, don't need to individually follow up with people. Can you please approve the bill? It automatically takes care. So that is another task that it automates for you. Analyzing your documents. So again, you upload a bunch of documents. You can question the documents with cited sources. You can get summaries from the AI. And last but not least, you can ask a question about a matter, about your client, about a contact. You can ask the AI to generate a report for you. So these are so many ways that probably if you cumulatively look in an entire week, you might be spending 5 hours, 6 hours, reduced it down to minutes, where you can actually focus on more time on a client meeting. You can actually focus your time on a lot of other things, things that you're actually an expert at versus you actually having to do a lot of the admin work, right? So those are ways that AI can actually really help you within Clio Manage. Last but not least, key takeaways. There were quite a few things we touched upon today when it came to tasks in Clio Manage. The first one is, why are tasks and task lists important? To help you really stay organized. Takes that mental stress and pressure. For you, as I said, a checklist, it shouldn't be a checklist. You don't want to be coming in every day, the next day before you log out to say, hey, I've got XYZ things to do. You have Clio Manage for a reason, and so let Clio Manage do the work for you. That's the first. Second is tracking work. So we saw, again, with the filters, it's really going to help you not just gauge what you need to do, but how is everybody else's workload at the firm, right? Are there things that we can move around? Do we need to pause? Are we seeing things that probably needs a reshift, a reprocess? So that's a good way to also use tasks and task lists to get a good sense of. And last but not least, just managing your day, right? So it used to be Clio Duo, but the same thing now, it's more enhanced with AI, Manage AI, where you pretty much are going to let the AI do the work for you for some of the things that you were probably spending hours. And we always would encourage in the day and age of AI to give it a try and see the magic that it can do for you. Like, honestly, I'm at that point now where I don't think I can function without AI. But yes, so this is a QR code. You're more than welcome to take that sheet, but if you want to scan the QR code, please go ahead. There is a guide within that sheet as well. So it's a guide on task lists. It covers a lot of the things that we've gone over, but it also has a lot of tips for some of you that are using Matter stages, Matter templates. It gives a lot more tips as to how you can weave task lists into that. But if not, I will be at the customer corner, second floor at the level up. Please feel free, and I'll be here for a couple of minutes. I'd be more than happy to take a lot of your questions one by one. But thank you so much. I really appreciate your time first thing in the morning. Thank you.